Everybody, Megarilla31 back here for FSIDFS. I will be doing the breakdown for the truck race tonight. It's about almost 4 p.m. on the East Coast, and the race will be at 9 p.m. tonight. It is from Madison, Illinois. It is the World Wide Track Raceway at Gateway, and it's the Toyota 200 presented by CK Power, 160 laps, 200 miles. Now, the interesting thing about this race is that this race course can be run as a regular race course, and it can also be run as a road course, kind of like they did with like Indianapolis last week with Xfinity and Cup. Tonight, they are going to run it as a regular race track. It's not going to be run as a road course. Hallelujah. I'm about sick and fed up of road courses recently, especially after the curbing incident in Cup last week. So this is the first one of the playoffs for the racing for trucks. And if you look, you should be seeing my screen here with our projections and all our information. The ones that are in baby blue are the guys that are in the playoffs. The guys that are in yellow doesn't mean caution, don't play them. They're just simply ARCA racers that are moving up to truck tonight. Now that we're in the playoffs, we start to get the silly season. You'll see guys popping in and out, trying to figure out. Some guys have given up on the season. Some guys are out of money. You'll see guys filling in for rides, just localized guys for tracks and stuff, just to kind of ride the season out, just create some excitement. Some younger guys or girls, sorry, I know like Haley Deegan's in there. So some younger drivers will come in and try to get some experience. So maybe they'll take truck rides next year if some of these guys are moving up to Xfinity or, wherever else they might be going. So that's what we're seeing. So we'll look at the breakdown that we have here, and we'll just go through position by position like TK and I usually do. TK and I just was really impossible for us to hook up to do this video, so I apologize. I'm doing it solo, but he and I should be able to get together to do Xfinity and Cup this week for Michigan. So going through here, Austin Hill, number one driver on the pole here. Oh, but before I go any further, there is another unique thing about this race, and please check the comments below. I'll post a link for when NASCAR posted about this, and I think it was 2019 or early 2020, that this race is a standalone race, and it's going to be run under the no live pit rule, which basically means that it kind of takes the pit crews out of the equation, because they were worried with smaller teams not being able to fairly compete, because when you're on a cup race, or if you're on a race where you're overlapping, and like Cup and Xfinity or one of the other two series is at the same racetrack, you can borrow from the upper series to help you supplement your teams for a pit crew and have a competitive pit crew. Some Cup guys could fill in, some Xfinity guys can fill in, because speed and efficiency is obviously very, very helpful and very, very important. So by having a standalone race and all the primary pit crews and members being in Michigan, it'd be very hard for some of these teams to be competitive, having full competitive pit crews in the standalone race at this racetrack. So they went with an Xfinity and in Truck Series with no live pitting, which basically means that when you pull into pit road, you leave in the same order that you are running. So it doesn't matter. You are timed. You can't spend all day there. And it's a reasonable amount of time. They also make it so when you go through certain times, you can only receive certain things. So it's a yellow flag. There's no competition caution usually for this. So at the end of stage one, the yellow flag comes out. You want to pit. You can only get 2 tires and fuel. Then if you want to get 2 more tires, you have to pit a second time. So when they line everybody up to restart the race, they line up everybody in order of the people that did not pit, the people that only pit once, the people that are left on the lead lap, or the people are, depending on like how many laps down, you get sprinkled in there too. The people that pitted twice on the lead lap, then everybody that didn't pit that's down a lap, everybody that pitted once, it's down a lap, everybody that pitted twice, it's down a lap, and so on and so forth. So like I said, I will leave the information in the comments here, so you can go to that page where NASCAR explained it pretty well. I think it was in 2019 before they did it for the 2020 season. So that's what's going on here. So back into the breakdown here. Austin Hill, he's won 2 races in a row. And he is actually, the 2 wins were kind of by luck because he won that by attrition, that horrible dirt track race in Knoxville. And then he won a shortened Watkins Glen race because they had lightning and they really needed to get the Xfinity race in. So they ended it prematurely. So he's a good driver, but he's always a GPP for me. Like, he hasn't been as dominant as last couple of seasons. He's run 3 times here and only has 1 top 10. So I'm not super confident in him. So I think he's gonna be highly owned just based on his recent success, winning 2 races in a row. But I think he's more of a GPP play. John Hunter Nemechek, I think, is the lock. Any race that Kyle Busch or NASCAR driver hasn't run in this series, he's pretty much dominated. I think he's led like 42% of all the laps this season that Kurt Busch hasn't led. So definitely think, he's primed for the championship here. He's got an awesome team, awesome truck. He should be ready to go and out there to dominate this race. And, we're looking for some dominating points here because there should be some place differential, but I think, we have enough laps here. It's not a true short track. If you're looking at this track, it's very similar. When I did the comparisons for composite speeds, I looked at Richmond, which is a shorter track. I looked at Vegas, which was like a 1.5. Not exactly, but it's something. Nashville, I think, is the closest thing with a short flat track, around the same length. It's almost like 1.33 miles, so it's not exactly 1.5. And then I looked at what they did here last year, because there should be a similar experience for that. So Gillian would be the next up, and I really like him also. He's definitely, the price break on him is definitely very good here at 94, sandwiched between a bunch of 10 or 11K guys. So, he's I think I'm going to start my cash lineups with Nemechek and Gillian. Creed is really good here also. He won it last year. He's had a solid season. So I just, like, pricing wise, I just don't think I really want to pay up for 211K guys. I'll definitely have some ownership of him, but in my primary cash, I'd rather have Nemechek in that one. Zane Smith, same thing. He's been very strong here in the races that he's won. He has the #1 speed composite ranking among like all the similar tracks here. So definitely like him in cash also. And, if you have a little bit more to pay up over Gillian, I think that he's fine. Or, he could be a nice pivot in tournaments off of Nemechek or Creed, if you think that either one of them might have issues. Carson Josevar starts 6th. He's having a great season, but I'm just putting him a fade here at starting 6th. I love the price, and I think that's going to be appealing. He struggled at Vegas, but other than the rest of the tracks, he was, decent. He was in the top 16 last year. So I think that he's starting a little bit too high up here. I don't know if he'll make it in the top 10. So it's even 75 is a decent price for him. I think, DK is kind of tempting you to hope that he finishes around where he starts or do well, but it's a nice truck that scares me a little bit too. So I'm out on him, but I don't hate you for playing him if you feel strong about him. I think TK would probably recommend him. He's been a lot this season. Ben Rhodes, 98. I think he's another GPP guy here. Just really hasn't had a great season. I mean, he's made the playoffs. His numbers look good, but I just think it's a little bit too expensive. It's a Thor sports truck. Yes. I like it. I'd rather have him like 8.5, I think. He's 7th overall position last year, running position, 3rd in composite ranking. So there's a lot of positives here. And I just think he's kind of priced in no man's land. I wish he was a little bit cheaper. So I don't think I'm going to have many shares of him. Eckes, he's not in the playoffs. He's the guy that's kind of sandwiched here among all the other guys that are competing. So he's in a really good truck. He's at a really good price, 76. I think he should probably stay in the top 10 here. So I think he's got a lot to prove, and I think he's a definitely decent GPP play, though, of low ownership. Stuart Friesen, lots of experience, really good dirt track driver, not bad on short track. So kind of like that here, like the price at 86. And so I think, he's a cash play. I think he can stay in the top 10. Matt Crafton, I think is a little expensive. I think he'll be highly owned with the Thor Sport Truck. I think people will be looking for the place differential on him. So I think that definitely will if he moves up to the top 5, that's maybe a little bit more differential. And I could see him like leading laps and things like that. He finished with a 9.8 overall average running position last year. So I think I'm okay with it. But like I said, if I'm paying 10K, I'd rather have like Zane Smith, or I'd just pay up for Creed or Nemechek. So again, lots of good choices here in the top 10. We start with 11th and Derrick Griffith. He is moving into the Bosses truck, the Kyle Busch primary 51 truck that Kyle Busch would drive when he was racing. So I don't really have too much to go by. Just looked at it's like some of his ARCA's numbers and everything. And with that, he is he's interesting, I think, for a GPP at the pricing, because like we don't know, like, is he like going to be like a Ty Gibbs, or is he going to be like a Ty Detmer, someone that potentially has a lot of potential and you put in a good situation but just can't deliver. So I don't know. I think I might sprinkle him some GPPs, but overall I don't think I'm gonna look at that. So next up I have Chandler Smith, and I think he's good for cash. He's been pretty consistent. He ran really well at Nashville, which I think is really close to this track. I like the price of 9.2. He's in the playoffs, but he's like down a little bit. So, I think to make a good impact on this first week to be able to advance, I think, and he's got the place differential. He's in a Kyle Busch truck. So just lots of good things to say there. Tyler Ankrum next up in a GMS truck. I don't know. I've seen him wreck a lot this year. 11th composite overall average running position, 8,200 is not bad. I think he's like a GPP for me. I see him wreck too much. I think he's got a 20% DNF rate, so not too interested there. Josh Berry, this Rackley War truck. We've seen Rackley trucks have a couple issues, but have been pretty good. He dominates in Xfinity. I don't know how well he's going to do in truck. I think he'd be super popular just based on his pricing and what people know from him from trucks. So I'll sprinkle him in a little bit, but I don't think I'll have too much ownership on him. Austin Wayne Self, he's a value guy that we love. TK and I joke that he's in like a country band. But I think that it's just, I think he's just starting too high at 15th. Nice truck too if he was starting like somewhere in the 20s, I think he'd be like the smash value play. I don't mind sprinkling in GPPs. I think he's a lot better than some of the other low value plays, but starting 15th is just kind of scary for me. Last year he ran average 19th here, so I think he could finish in the top 20, but not in the top 15. So a little bit scared to play him even at that price. Tanner Gray is another popular value play. I think is also starting a little bit too high. Decent at these types of tracks. It's just hard to pay almost 7K starting 16th. Last year, your average running position was 15.4. I actually have him finishing kind of where he started, so I think it's viable in a GPP. Derrick Krauss, I'm a little more skeptical with. I mean, he had a bad run at Vegas, but I guess if I look at his other numbers, he's about 15 average running position. So I think, maybe he's another value play to consider, but again, starting a little bit too high. Can he stay in the top 20? I'm not sure. Ryan Truex, he's definitely starting way too high. He's a fade for me, not interested. Haley Deegan, I think she's a cash play here. I think she can stay in the top 20, maybe into the top 15, having a really good rookie season. Last year, didn't run here, like similar tracks, like 22 average running position, but I think she's improved a lot since then. Johnny Sauter, I think, is going to be very popular. Also, lots of experience. He's done well at this track. Last year, he didn't do so well, but he has had success in different formats like this. Again, I think he's doing popular. I'm okay with him at GPP, but I just don't think I can play him in cash. The truck is sound and stuff, but I've just seen him make some bad decisions this year. He's so boomer bust. I'm just out. Jack Wood, I think he's another GPP. I think he'll be low owned. It's a decent truck here. He didn't run last year, but Nashville, he did really, really well. So, again, young driver, needs a little bit more of experience. I think he can finish around where he starts, maybe gain a couple of positions. 65 is not that bad. So GPP. Chris Wright, not really interested in. I think you could put him as a GPP just based on the pricing, but I don't think that he's probably going to end up in the 30s. So that's usually his average running position is 30th. So not super interested. Denny Bond on the other side. I think you can make a case for him in cash. He's pretty consistent. He finished in the top 20 last year here, 18th average running position. So if he gains about like 5 points at 5,200, that's a great play. So love it for cash. Tate Fogelman, I think he's about the same with experience, but the truck isn't good. He's struggled this year. 24th is starting. If he was starting 34th, we definitely take him, but 24th, I just can't do it there. Ty Majeski, I think, is in one of my prime plays. I know he's expensive at 9K, but this is a really good driver. He's in Thor Sports Truck, so he has place differential. Last year, he ran in the top 15 with an average running position of 11.3. He ran Nashville in this truck and had average running position as 12th. I see him finishing in the top 10. I love this play. I think he could be the highest point per dollar play on the slate. So definitely going to be one of my core guys in my lineup. So I think I'm starting my lineups with Nemechek, Gillian, and Majeski. Taylor Gray, I think people will confuse and think it's Tanner Gray. It's actually his brother. This is his second start. He does have a lot of experience on short tracks and is very comfortable running them from ARCA. GPP here, priced a little high, starting a little bit high. The race team's decent. So I think, his average running position in his first race was 26, which is kind of where he is right now. So I think that, like I said, I think people will confuse him and think it's Tanner. So I think his ownership might be higher than it should be, but just the price is a little bit too high there. Tyler Hill, on the other hand, I would rather take him in the Hills truck. This truck has been decent, probably top 25, can gain a couple positions there. I think he's a cash play at 56. I like him better than Austin Wayne Self, starting all the way up at 15th for just $100 more. Chase Purdy, style suits him, should be good here. He's got a good truck. He's just has really struggled this year. We thought that he'd have a breakout year, but just hasn't done it. 7,300 seems a little too high to pay. I think he can finish in the top 25 with some place differential, but I think there's better place. I'd rather play Derrick Krauss and save like $300, I think. Jake Griffith, another guy coming from the ARCA series. He's okay. I think there's so many other better, more established plays. Like some of these guys that are just are coming up here are he's in a Nice truck also, which just isn't super reliable. He's got he did decent at Vegas, but like his last year when he ran here is that actually, I think I'm looking more at the truck that, where the truck is finished in these races with other drivers. I think this is the one that, if I'm not mistaken, he was in the 45. Yeah, Brett Moffatt. This is Brett Moffatt's old truck. So I think the results are based on him being a much better driver. So this guy has potential. eventually, but don't like him as much as some of the other younger guys out there. So probably just not going to play him, but I think he's going to be popular just based on his price and his success that he's had in ARCA. Grant Elfinger, I think he's going to be very, very chalky, very, very popular in 9,600, lots of place differential. But if you look at his numbers, he looks outstanding. My model has him finishing in the top 10, but that was when he was in the Thor truck, not this Cody Robar truck. So it's a different truck. I fear the tech's going to break down. He also could be a great point per dollar play right behind Majeski, but I'm saving him for GPP because I just don't trust the equipment in cash. Definitely has some place differential here. Sensor Boyd's the GPP. He's decent, cheap dart. Probably going to only gain a couple spots, may get ahead of some of the guys ahead of him. Jordan Anderson actually joins in his own truck. I think other drivers are better in his truck, but he is decent on short tracks. Wouldn't expect a ton, maybe about 5 place differential points for 6K. I think that's okay in cash, but maybe more of a GPP just because he's he's just, like I said, it's hard. He struggled a little bit and just doesn't seem to have the speed other drivers have had in his equipment, but I don't hate it. So borderline cash, definitely GPP. As we round things out here, Reyes, not interested in. Jennifer Joe Cobb is always too slow, not interested. Armenia Williams comes again from Xfinity, or not Xfinity, from ARCA. His average running position is like this truck is running like the 30s. It's not a fast truck, and I don't think that he's going to get a ton out of it either. GPP, like the projection's a little too high. I think they're for 20. I mean, if he does, and he's like the second lowest driver, I take him over Chris Wright if you really, really need the punt, but don't expect a ton. But I'd say he's better than the two above him at Jennifer Joe Cobb and Reyes. Corey Roper, GPP play. He's decent at these tracks. I think, he can get about 4. I think he can get ahead of Cobb and Reyes and maybe Hacker, somebody else that has an issue. Cram, I really like here at 38th. I think he goes no place but up. I think he can grab 5 positions. Tech is a little bit of a concern, but not a ton. And there's a reason Norm Benning is starting 39th. It's just, he's just not a really good truck, and he'll probably be like 5 or 6 laps down. So I would not play him. So thanks for watching. We appreciate it. Like I said, check the comments below. I'm going to add about the pitting, so to help you understand that. We have 5 hours right now to lock. So hopefully you guys were able to go through this and help you build your lineups, and look for our Xfinity video and our Cup video coming out. So if you have any questions, hit me up at Twitter at MegRower31. I'd love to try to see what we can do to help you be successful tonight, and leave some comments below. We can help you with that too. And like I said, TK and I should return for the other 2 videos. So good luck. I'm just looking forward to some racing on an actual racetrack and not all this road course turn stuff. And hopefully the weather stays good and it's a great night of racing and very enjoyable. So thanks again for watching. We appreciate it. And we'll see you next time.